Hello, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in about 60 seconds. So welcome to the webinar. Let's give everybody a few minutes to get in from the waiting room and log in, and we will kick off in, like I said, about 60 seconds or so. Welcome, welcome. You're just on time. Hello to everybody just coming in. We're about to get started. We'll let a few more folks in. Happy Thursday. All right. It is 1:01. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Gina Waldhorn. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Sports Innovation Lab, and welcome to the first of a series of audience webinars from Sports Innovation Lab focused on retail and the holiday season. And today we are kicking off the Radical Retail webinar series with a focus on sports retail audiences, specifically diving into the categories of athleisure wear, goods, and gear. So let's go ahead and get started because we only have 15 minutes. We know you're busy. We're going to get through it and make sure you are armed with the data and the activation planning advice that you need to be successful this holiday season. So in the next really 14 minutes, what I'm going to do is talk to you about what is the data set that we've built and how do we use our specific data cloud to build these unique addressable audiences. I'm going to share some trends and some interesting insights around the sports gear, goods, and athleisure wear segments. And then we're going to make sure you have what you need to get started accessing, customizing, and using these addressable audiences as you ramp up and move into your Q4 programmatic planning. So with that, let's start with what is powering our audiences, which is Sports Innovation Lab's Sports Data Cloud. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is we created. But I want to start it with why we created what we created. So if you're out there buying an existing data set right now, an audience, and you're looking for a soccer fan, this is probably what you're buying. We've got viewership data, we've got some social media, some cookie data, maybe some app data, maybe some loose demographic data. When you buy a soccer fan, you're probably buying someone that looks like this, a little watching Eye on Saturday Night Soccer, maybe following a soccer player, and you've got some rough demographics. We don't think that's good enough. We think in order to be truly successful in this brave new world, you've got to understand not just who you're trying to target, but the motivations and the behaviors and the why behind what kind of fan they are and what kind of purchases they make. And that's why we've built the Sports Data Cloud, which is the only data cloud that has specific domain expertise in sports, retail, media, entertainment. What's in that cloud? We have almost full coverage of the entire US using individual and household attributes. But what it's really anchored in is the purchasing transactional data, deterministic data for more than 140 million US consumers that allows us to see everything they purchase at an individual level. Layer on top over 8 billion online interactions, over 7,000 individual brand merchants that we've tagged and customized, again, for sports, retail, and entertainment, as well as using a generative AI system to consistently and dynamically update these communities based on the future fan, the fluid fan, the most high value fan. So all of that has been designed into our sports data cloud, which ultimately means that instead of this, you get this. We're able to fill in those 22 other hours of the day from what they eat to where they buy their groceries, to where they pump their gas, to what teams they love, what leagues they follow, if they bet with who, how much. This is the full comprehensive view of what we see when we call somebody a soccer fan. And this is what goes into our audiences. We have the largest brand coverage across sports, retail, media, and entertainment. Every team, every league, every venue, every betting platform, every retail merchandise provider in the sports merch world, which ultimately will design audiences that have been proven to give our clients more engagement, decrease and lower cost per acquisition, and lift that ROAS, which is what we're all after. So with that said, let's dive into specifically our high value sports, athleisure, goods, and gear segment. And when we talk about athleisure and we talk about athletic goods and gears, what do we mean? Well, I mentioned we have those over 7,000 specific sports brands merchants. We've been able to subcategorize those using our domain expertise. So when we talk about athleisure, we have activewear, your Lulus, your Athletas, but also your Sweaty Betties, your Girlfriend Collectives, your Rories, your Aloes. And then we have those brands in sneakers. Plus, that's a category that's probably anchored in a sneaker brand that's expanded to a lot more, like your Nikes and your New Balances, your On Cloud, On Running, Adidas. And then when we talk about athletic, which we'll talk about, we're talking about goods, the broader categories of sporting goods and recreational sellers like Modell's and Dick's, and then hardcore specific gear retailers where you're going to buy your paddleball and your pickleball and your Bauer hockey sticks and your Mizuno gloves. So we've got hundreds and thousands of retailers and merchants specific to these categories and subcategories when we talk about sports retail. So now I'm going to dive into some trends. So we looked at the data in these categories. What did it tell us? Let's start with seasonality. It looks like general sports fans, like a lot of other sectors, do spend the most during Q4. It's not really tied to seasonality when it comes to their specific league fandom. It's more tied to that shopping behavior with a big spike, almost more than double for sports merchandise. So this is sports, this is spending across these different athleisure and athletic goods and gear categories by the US sports fan by quarter, where you can see how they spend with, again, the majority of their year-long spending taking place in Q4. So you should be targeting those general sports fans for your retail campaigns. We see a similar trend with youth sports. Youth sports parents spend a lot in Q4. And again, specifically when it comes to sports merch, which are the jerseys and the name brands and the gear for their favorite leagues and teams, more than double the spend of youth sports parents on sports merchandise, apparel, and gear in Q4. Where we did not see a holiday spike was women's sports fans, which, if you read our recent research, probably has a lot to do with inventory and availability and really presents a fantastic opportunity to dial up your targeting for women's sports fans in Q4. For women's sports fans, we see the majority of their spending across these athleisure and athletic categories taking place in Q2, and we know what happens in Q2. That is the start of the NWSL and the WNBA season. So let's see if we can expand that and provide these women's sports fans with the athleisure wear, the goods and the gear they're looking for all year long. All right, what are some of the highest value segments? Who should you be building audiences against if you're trying to market to athleisure goods and gear category consumers? Well, not surprisingly, yogis stood out. Those consumers who spent on yoga gear and classes were 7 times more likely than the Gen Pop to be spending in the active wear category. But maybe a bit more surprising than the yogis are concerts and festivalists. They were making 5% more purchases on athletic goods retailers like Dick's Sporting Goods versus the Gen Pop. So maybe you're getting in that crowd, maybe you want to hit that mosh pit, you want to push up to the front, you need to feel good, you need to have your sneakers, you need to have your water bottles. So making more purchases are those concerts and festivals, festival goers. Also interesting, skaters and surfers, 2.4 times more likely to spend on activewear versus the Gen Pop. We consistently see our skate and surf community with a high income, a high disposable income spending across a lot of apparel categories. And that's no different when it comes to activewear. So they're not just good for board shorts and bathing suits. They want some of that additional activewear as well, prime target segment. And then when we look at women's sports fans, a key category within the athletic goods and gear is cats. They love their lids. WNBA fans are 2.4 times more likely to make a purchase from lids and spend 60% more than the general population. So if you've got hats to sell, you're better off targeting women's sports fans because more of them are spending and they spend more when they do spend. And that is increasing year over year. We see up to over 200% growth of the number of women's sports fans buying at lids from 2021 to 2022. And that continued to grow another 60% in 2021 to 2023. So definitely reach out and target those women's sports fans if you've got stuff for their heads. Now, taking a look at some specific athletic goods retailers, we took a look at Play It Again Sports. to see which communities over-indexed in shopping with this specific retailer. Lacrosse, Olympics fans, and flag football were the top segments to target, with lacrosse fans being 6 times more likely to spend and Olympics fans more than 5 times more likely to spend than the Gen Pop at Play It Again Sports. So as we think about how to customize messaging and personalize creative and design those audiences, we want to make sure we prioritize some of these sport communities if you're Play It Again Sports. If you're Fanatics, not a shocker, international sports fans. So these are fans of rugby, cricket, English Premier League, UEFA. They've got the gear, and that's a top community. But also women's sports fans, tennis and lacrosse were popping for being much more likely and have a high propensity to spend with Fanatics. Finally, we took a look at a specific retailer, at Lulu. Fans of cycling, it turns out they're not just buying bike shorts to wear to the coffee shop. Fans of cycling are 6 times more likely to purchase from Lululemon. So those are Olympic fans of cycling. Those are Peloton fans. We've got a whole cycling audience community, high propensity to spend with Lululemon. So now we want to talk with the few remaining minutes we have about how we've customized these audiences for what we know everybody cares about when those punches start to fly to get that Xbox on Black Friday, or you've got kind of 4 different devices on Cyber Monday. We have designed specific dedicated audiences for these seasonal shoppers. So we have 3 core audiences that we want you to tap into this holiday season. First, we have a holiday shopper audience. These are consumers who had their peak spend at big box retailers in December. We're also able to customize our holiday shopper audience for your specific category or specific retailer. So if you want to do something like that, you reach out to us. We've also created a dedicated Black Friday shopper addressable audience. So we have taken consumers who for the past 3 years consistently have their peak shopping spend with big box retailers on Black Friday. So these are deterministic audiences where we know they spend the most they spend all year on Black Friday. Again, we can couple that with other categories to make sure you're really lasering in on the category Black Friday shopper that you're looking for. And then we've done the same thing for Cyber Mondays. We isolated those consumers who spend the most on top e-tail retailers like Amazon, Walmart Plus, and they spent the most on Cyber Monday for the past 3 years. All of these audiences are available on your major programmatic and data store marketplaces and can be pushed to any channel that accepts an addressable audiences, from digital out of home to CTV, social, and display. And we want to make it super easy for you to find these audiences. So for the first time, we have now created a Retail Innovation Lab naming taxonomy. So you can go to LiveRamp, go to the Trade Desk, go to Google DV360, and search by provider Retail Innovation Lab, and you will find audiences like our Black Friday shoppers, our Cyber Monday shoppers, or some of our specific subcategory shoppers like our athleisure wear, active wear, athleta shoppers. You can also always search Sports Innovation Lab for some of those additional custom segments. And again, they're always available on all of those major data stores, and we're happy to customize. Because we have this transactional data, we can customize for specific brands or category purchasers. We can look at the top spenders or frequent spenders based on a dedicated frequency of spend, or by some of those custom communities I talked about, like the concert goers or Gen Z or trendsetters. So if you have any other questions, you want to reach out, you want to talk about customizing, need help finding something, we have our audience desk available for you. We're going to launch our poll. So if you're any of one of our brand or agency partners, we love that you gave us 15 minutes of your time. So we want to have a coffee with you. So fill this out and you'll get your Starbucks gift card. And I'm going to pop into the chat because I want to see if we have any questions. Feel free to let us know. We're also going to put into all of these audiences are available on our blog, a complete list of our retail, sports, athleisure wear, goods, and gears audiences are available on our blog for you to just copy and paste as well. So we are right bang on 1:15. Thank you guys so much for spending your afternoon with us. And we can't wait to help you optimize your campaigns for a fantastic Q4 radical retail season. Thanks, everybody.